student at Ben-Gurion University under the advisors Yuval Pinter and Gal Oren. Today, I'm going to present to you our research, learning to parallelize source code via OpenMP with transformers. But first, this work was supported by the Israeli Council for Higher Education, the One API Center of Excellence of Intel, and the Lynn and William Frankel Center for Computer Science. Computational support was provided by the Negev HPC project. The world has switched to shared memory architectures that contain multiple processing units. In order to benefit from this architecture, applications needed to be introduced with the appropriate parallelization paradigms, such as OpenMP. However, inserting OpenMP directive to codes is hard and tedious, as it requires understanding the dependencies between the variables. In order to ease this process, many source-to-source compilers were devised over the years that automatically insert OpenMP directives to the code. However, source code comes in many different programming languages, syntax, and in general, parsing code is hard, thus limiting the capabilities of these source-to-source compilers and making them impractical for large-scale codes. Recently, natural language processing models have gained much success and popularity, even in source code tasks. Therefore, the possibility of leveraging NLP techniques to produce OpenMP directives, or at the very least, suggest them, rises. Our task is to use an NLP model that will suggest or classify code segments that can benefit from an OpenMP directive. The negligible inference times makes it easy to incorporate in an IDE and suggest to the developer directives on the fly. As in every AI model, the first thing is to construct a database. Our database is named OpenOMP, and it contains 17,000 unique entries with 7,600 OpenMP directives in C. Each entry contains a relevant code segment, the directive, if it exists, and an ASC representation of both. Our model, which we call Pragformer, is tasked with identifying the need for an OpenMP directive and even specific clauses such as private and reduction. For example, in this code, the model should classify the top segment with an OpenMP directive and a private clause, and the bottom one without. To achieve this behavior, we use the transformer architecture. The huge advantage of this architecture is its self-attention component. In this component, a numerical score is calculated for each input with respect to the other inputs. This score determines the level of consideration for this specific vector in the next layers, i.e., the numerical score may represent how much variables influence one another, making it the most suitable for OpenMP. To test Pragformer's capabilities, we compare it with the source-to-source compiler named Compa and a simple statistical classification model, Bag of Words. On the left, we can see the results on the test set that contains approximately 2,000 examples. And on the right, we can see the results on two handpicked OpenMP benchmarks, SpecOMP and Polybench, that are not a part of the database. As we can see, Pragformer achieves the best precision, recall, F1, and accuracy score in almost every test, which demonstrates the potential of such a model in suggesting an OpenMP directive. To try and understand how Pragformer came to his decision, we applied Line, a well-known explainability tool, on two examples from the benchmarks. In the right, we can see the original code. On the left, we can see Pragformer's prediction. And in the middle, the variables that contributed the most to its prediction. In the top example, Pragformer identifies correctly the need for an OpenMP directive, and it can be seen that it is thanks to the index J and other array-related variables. In the bottom example, Pragformer identified correctly that there is no need for an OpenMP directive. The decision was made due to the presence of the I/O functions. This tells us that Pragformer understands and focuses on the correct variables and statements. To conclude, I've introduced you with Pragformer, a novel transformers model tasked with identifying the need for an OpenMP directive and specific clauses. Pragformer achieves excellent results compared to Compa and Bag of Words, suggesting it has the potential to suggest OpenMP directives. In the future, we plan to expand the database to include additional programming languages, apply similar models to additional parallelization paradigms, such as MPI and OpenACC, and also explore different code representation that can enhance Pragformer's performances. Thanks for listening.